Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Well, that was an interesting episode. Don't know quite how I feel about it, but it was entertaining. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center presents our House of the Dragon Fire and Blood after show. This will be a really quick spoiler review of episode 6. Only 2 more left of House of the Dragon. This episode was titled Small Folk, and if you got a chance to watch the episode, you understand why the small folk play a big part of the strategy in this episode. Wow. Almost had your first lesbian makeout scene of Game of Thrones, I think. Towards the end there, got busted up by one of the King's guards, but sort of saw that coming, but I was like, nah, they're really gonna. Then they were gonna. So there you go. It's Game of Thrones. Any show that can do incest, nothing should be off the board. But like I said, the 2 characters that were coming together were like, well, what are they? Wait. And people are sitting watching the tour. We're like, wait, yep, there they go. But yeah, not a lot of violence in this episode. It does have some violent nature to it. There are riots and stuff that happens. There is dismemberment. Somebody loses an arm. It's all fun and games until then. So this is going to be a spoiler review. Let me say hi to the chat real quick. I thought it was interesting. Like I said, I probably have to rewatch it and rewatch some of the other Easter egg reviews to see what I missed. But once again, we're following the consistent flow of Game of Thrones in regards to heading into that last 2 episodes. Usually there's something that happens in the penultimate episode. So if a 10 episode season, episode 9 and episode so on. So whatever that second to last episode is, and then the season finale is basically dealing with the aftermath of whatever happened in that penultimate episode. And then you leave it at a cliffhanger. Hopefully we're not waiting 2 years to find out, well, I kind of know if you've read the stuff, but for those of you who are not familiar with the literature, then hopefully they're not keeping you waiting for another 2 years, because I really do think that's hurt the momentum of the show, for me at least. How you doing, Dracula, Droga, Clint, and his duck? Pretty good episode tonight. I think I know which side is Team Smart and Team Stupid. Yeah, I told you guys when we first started these things the last 2 years ago who is Team Smart and who is Team Stupid. Team Stupid continues to show who they are. As cunning as Aemond Targaryen is, he opens up the show and he's just full of himself and he's stupid. He's basically sending his men off to die while he sits back at the castle with Vhagar. So yeah. All right. So yeah, that the show starts out with the small council and everybody trying to advise Aemond that, maybe it's not a good idea to march on here or march on there without, until we find out, the status of this or that. Um, he wants to march on Harrenhal, but the problem is if and Kristen Cole brings this up, if Daemon raises an army in the Riverlands, we don't have enough to defeat him. And then every piece of advice they give Aemond, he just keeps dismissing it, even the advice from his mother. So he sends to Kristen Cole to Harrenhal, and that's going to be some fun in the future. We're moving on to some really big battles in the historic preference of the show. You're going to see a lot more consequences. Probably next episode. I see next episode as being probably the most action-packed episode of the season so far, and the most consequential. They come in and they interrupt, saying, "Hey, King Aemon, or not Aemon, King Aegon. Hey, he's talking, he's breathing," and you can see the look on Aemon's face is like, "Oh fuck." So he goes and pays his big brother a visit, and pretty much tries to imply that you better not remember anything that happened. And he can't talk or anything. He's all ripped there, peeling his skin off at the beginning of the episode, which is gross. Then Larys Clubfoot comes in after that and he says, "Hey, your brother's ruling, and that means your life is in danger." So he's going to try to position himself into being Aegon's stooge. All right, so what else happened in this episode? I'm going through the episode again right now because I just finished watching it. Corlys Velaryon he goes ahead and takes a position in his hand. They start strategizing around that. They're running into the problem of they have dragons, but they don't have dragon riders. So they end up sending for this knight, Sir Stephen, who has some type of Targaryen bloodline in him, and they try to get him to mount Sea Smoke. Unfortunately, just because you have Valyrian blood, the dragon can still reject you, and it burnt this poor fool off, and the dragon herder that was with him, and it was kind of gruesome scene, so that was sucked. So Sea Smoke gets out and starts flying around. Now, Sea Smoke has been stalking Alan Velaryon, which is Corlys Velaryon's bastard, but not the bald one, the one with the dark hair. And he's just been following him around because he can sense that's who he wants to ride him. And it makes sense because his brother, his legitimate brother, was Sea Smoke's original rider. And he has a connection to that family. So the dragon is actually stalking him because he wants him to ride him. So it's this funny scene where he keeps swooping around him. Alan's running away because he thinks he's about to die. And I'm like, dude, that dragon can just burn you from where it's at if he wanted you dead. But he runs, and he, of course, just like in all the horror movies, he trips over a branch. And then it's funny because just like in a horror movie where you think the killers can't find you, he looks up in there, and then the Sea Smoke just comes out in an awe-inspiring scene, and he gets right up on him, and that's when you realize that he's chosen him as his rider. And that's what's going to happen. You got 3 or 4 of those that are going to happen. So these dragons are going to choose their riders, and that's why they've been featuring them in since the beginning of this season. Now, Rhaenyra and Mysaria hatched this plan because everybody's starving in King's Landing. They're fighting over rotted food, and it's just bad. And there's rumors are getting out because, Mysaria's people are spreading the rumors that the royal family's up there eating like hogs while everybody on there starves and eats fish. So Rhaenyra and Mysaria get a plan to where they have these boats full of fresh food with the House Targaryen, her House Targaryen logo on them, and they ship them into Blackwater Bay. So people start fighting over the food, and they're running through the city with these banners, and that turns the small folk, which is why it's named that, on them. They almost cap Alicent and Helena because they get caught up in the middle of it. So Team Smart is being exactly who you think they are. Team Stupid continues to be Team Stupid. What else happened in this episode? Just like I said, I just finished watching it. Let's see. It was a slow-moving episode, but it didn't have a pace problem like some of the ones did. Some of the episodes in Game of Thrones, period, when they don't have action, it's either feast or famine. Now, Daemon, in his Scooby-Doo haunted house adventure that he's on in Harrenhal, he starts completely loses his mind, and he goes to Alice Rivers for help because they're having problems with the House Tully, and House Tully won't raise their banners, and the old man is sick. all this stuff. And he's like, he's about to leave because he's just giving up. And then she says, give me a couple of days and fortunate winds will turn your way. So the old man totally ends up dying. And it just so happens that the last maester that tended to him happened to be Alice Rivers. And once Damon figures that out, he realizes he's got an ally. But this is the part of the episode I just really, the haunted house thing with him, he keeps having these memories of guilt and everything else. That was probably the most unappealing. I want to see Damon killing people. That's really what I want to see him. All right, what else do we have here? Yeah, Sir Stephen getting roasted. Corlys comes to his oldest son, and he wants to raise him up. He wants him to serve on him on his fleet. And the son, Alex, is he's reluctant because he doesn't want to live in the shadow of Corlys. They've done all this without him. He doesn't want to live in the shadow, even though he's his son. And they have a scene where because his hair is white. His hair is white like Corlys, and that's why he keeps himself bald, because he doesn't want that stigma. But he orders him to serve on the fleet with him. So he'll also probably be a dragon rider, if I can remember from the books. Let's see what we got here. Just making sure that not everything that happened. Yeah, here's just the small folks just starving to death. They're eating fish. And when they riot, they throw the fish at the queen, which is kind of cool. Because Rhaenyra is giving them all kinds of stuff. Yeah, more Aemond being a dick. Let's see. That's what a lot of this was just strategy sessions. King Aegon does wake up, but like I said, he can't move. He's pretty much an invalid. Alicent's feeling kind of guilty now. She's having all these conversations with everybody and her brother who they don't get along, but all of a sudden they do. And she started asking about her son, and she's starting to feel guilty about everything she says in motion. She even goes to Aegon and visits him at his bedside and says she's sorry. And which is, if you look at all of this, Team Stupid was her and her dad getting all this started. Because if she hadn't, Aegon didn't even want the throne. So she pushed all of this on him. So all this is up. This is on her. So let me get to the chat. What did you guys, for those of you guys who watched this episode, what did you guys think of this episode? Like I said, not action-packed, but it was still intense. Yeah. Both of them are his sons. Like I said, only the one has the white hair, though, and he doesn't want to be recognized as, for some reason. He just has an issue. But now, because remember, before Rhaenys died, she's like, he should be raised up in honor, not buried beneath the tides. And I think Corlys is starting to realize, yeah, that's my boy. And, he should legitimize him. I think they eventually do. Yeah, I understand. You got this big thing just swinging around at you, but, and then, like I said, the dragon just cornered him and said, I want you, which is kind of cool. And then you see in the previews for next episode, the dragon, Rhaenyra meets him with the dragon, trying to figure out who he is and what he is. She doesn't know about him, about his relationship, but she'll figure it out. And then you'll get all kinds of dragon ladies, riders from then. You get at least 4. Let's see. How you doing, Omega Swiper? Oh, well, sort of, but not really. I don't want to spoil the entire, the story. It's one thing we're spoiling this episode, but really, all these people, meet horrible ends. Yeah, he kicked her off the small council. Like I said, that's his issue, though. He's smarter than his brother, but that ain't saying much. When you're on Team Stupid, there's just levels of stupid. There's not, there's no geniuses on Team Stupid. Even Otto. They're going to bring Otto back. I love the way this show is made, too. And you know what I really love this season? That I always liked the score of Game of Thrones, but this season, too, has been awesome. They've done some really good stuff with the music. All right, can't they use nets on the dragons and the nets are soaked in oil and burn the dragon? The dragons are their skins are not they're not susceptible to that kind of heat. The dragon fire. If you noticed when Sunfire was Sunfire's injuries weren't from the burns; it was from the scratching and the clawing. But I don't think the dragon fire, even when Vhagar took on Araxis, the little one, for when he killed Lucerys, he bit him. He chewed him in half. The fire didn't hurt him, and even Araxis's fire didn't hurt Vhagar. It just irritated him. So I don't think heat or anything like that. Plus, they're really fast. If you look how Sea Smoke just came around real quick, he was on his ass immediately. So you got to ask yourself this when it comes to taking down a dragon. These ideas sound great, but what if you miss? And as you've seen, they're not hard to escape. They're in the air. So yeah, I would, yeah. All right. I liked this one shows where they're more one way to fight a war. Yeah. I love Mysarius. I love her character. She's her mistress of whispers, and her story of how she got her scar. It was really the incest story with her father. That was tragic to hear. But like I said, I kind of felt it building the relationship with Rhaenyra, but then I was joking with the people I was watching with because we were just joking. I didn't think they would actually, but then I'm like, it's Game of Thrones. She doesn't have anybody she can trust. And Mysaria doesn't have anybody she can trust. So you have two ladies that are being tasked with with the duties of men, and then they don't have any, she can't trust her husband. She's actually tired of hearing his name. That's how fucking sick she is at Daemon. She's like, fuck, can I go through one thing without hearing his name? But they know they need him because he will eventually come through. He will eventually. I will tell you that his mission is a success. And you kind of see it in the next episode. You kind of see him coming forth with it. Well, it's the power of the realm and glory if you kill the dragon. But the thing is, remember the last episode, killing a dragon was bad omen. So the small town folk were like, "Oh man, it's like a bad luck." I'm surprised they don't have a soul sword to hunt dragons again. Once again, it doesn't. That's why what Euron Greyjoy did at the end of Game of Thrones was bullshit. When he killed Rhaegal with the 2 harpoons, that's not happening. That's not happening. Nothing on the ground should kill those dragons. The only reason the Night King did it, you can just use that as magic. But even that was bullshit. But because he's a being of magic, I guess I can kind of excuse what he did. Nothing on the ground that's powered by what they have powered should be able to get one of those dragons. The only reason one of the ones that died in Dorne after the original conquest died is because she came down too close. And the way Dorne is set up. But in the manner that these dragons are killed in Game of Thrones, in my opinion, is complete bullshit. Like I said, the primary example was when Rhaegal, he's coming around, right? Those scorpions are line of sight weapons, which means the fucking dragon can see that fleet. They're high enough up to where that thing ain't going that fast, and it's going to lose velocity. They were really high. So not only was that bullshit, they confirmed it was bullshit when she comes through with one dragon at the almost exact same angle and basically destroys that fleet as it should be. When you have a moving air target that can shoot at anything at you, you're pretty much kind of fucked with that kind of weaponry, especially with line of sight weaponry that you have to reposition, because once the dragon moves position, unless you have multiple things aimed, you have to reposition those weapons. Those dragons can hover. So the way they've killed these dragons in this show has been bullshit, because when you see what happened when they face things, that one episode where the Tyrell, when they killed Lady Tyrell, when she takes the suit, and the Battle of the Golden Road, where Jamie and and the Lannister crew and the Dothraki took him. That's how that's going to happen. he shouldn't have even got off the shot that he did. And when he hit Drogon, he hurt him, but Drogon was still able to waste him. So you're talking about a slow moving equipment that they have against a dragon that can fly and that's up high enough to where their weapons, if you look at the Scorpion, in order for it to hit them that high like that, it would need to be 3 times the size, and they wouldn't be able to move around. But it's Hollywood, so I'm going to give them that. But no, the Cell Swords would have been just like the people in the Golden Compass at the Bells, the second to last episode in the original season. Remember, they had that whole Red Keep line with Scorpions. It didn't matter because she came in high enough and had all those ships, Rion, the Grey Worm, not Grey Worm, but Greyjoy ships. Every one of those ships had a Scorpion on them. She fried that whole fucking fleet. Then went on to King's Landing where they were waiting for her with those weapons and they weren't able to do shit because all the dragon had to do is change position and they did exactly what you would think it would do. Fry him, which makes all the other dragon deaths kind of lame. Problem with Game of Thrones is they do some killing sometimes just for effect. They don't do it for strategy. They just do it like, oh my God, they killed the dragon and that's it. But no, once you have, she had multiple dragons. Nah, once you have that, there's really nothing they can do. That's why they're trying to tell Aemond, you got a dragon, but you want us to move about and wait for you to come along after we're probably going to get fried. That's why when they don't, even Aemond said this. Dragons won't win wars. Dragon behind armies of men will win wars. But those men, it's like air support. In the army, no, you don't move your land component from anywhere without air support. Just the way it happens. And usually, like I said, just like in the military, yeah, you can shoot down a military jet. But look, the kind of technology we have is more even with those jets than anything else. And you look at that kind of equipment, doesn't happen very often. Not in modern warfare. So yeah, I think they every now and then they want you to realize just how hard it is to kill a dragon until they want it to be a part of their narrative, and then they make it easy. So that's all I can say about that. Her husband, uncle, but hey, listen, Helena and Aegon are brother and sister, and they got kids. Gonna have kids with 3 heads. There's really no need for the dragons to go low to be in the range of them. Yeah, exactly, Clint. Just like you would in a helicopter or any other jet, you would not go below a certain level within range of those weapons. And as long as you don't do that, you're unless you're like an armored weapon like an A-10 Warthog that can take small armed fire and has the armor, But once you shoot at that, you're giving up your position. You're basically saying, "Come kill me." Which is what you would be doing with a dragon. If you shot at a dragon that high and it sees that thing coming in that low velocity, just like she did in that one episode when Dany was driving, and she just moved out of the way. She moved out of the way, and she's closing in so fast that even if there were other scorpions aimed, that target is now moving towards you at a high rate of speed from the air. You're basically and shooting fire at you. So yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that's that like I said, but it's intriguing because both sides have dragons. It was said that the only thing that could bring down the House of Dragon is the House of the Dragon, because no other army was going to be able to take on an army that had dragons, but both sides had dragons here. Even though one side is completely stupid and the other side is smarter. But yeah, it was that's why I said I had a whole stream about this a few years ago back when Rhaegal was killed like that. I'm like, what? You mean to tell me that dragon didn't see those ships? And that those scorpions were able to hit him twice like that, as high up as they were? Because remember, when he fell down from like a lot. So that scorpion from that distance wouldn't have been able to been able to do that. So yeah, and like I said, Rhaegal, which is her second dragon, would have dodged that, and then would have done exactly what they did, 80 minutes later in the next episode, which is fry that whole fucking fleet. Yeah, and be honest with you, I'm not serving in your army if that's all you got. If I know the other side's got dragons and all you got is lawn darts and shit, and they're shooting arrows at them sometimes, I'm like, what? that thick ass hide like that. And like I said, you're wearing armor, so if you catch fire in armor, it's just no. Let's see. They really yep. But man's most primal ammo. Yeah. The dragons are bonded to man. So let's go a little bit further in this episode. So we got Alicent and her guilt trip, saying goodbye to her brother. At the plans been hatched. Yeah, so we have the riot towards the end. And Laris basically telling him, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you because your brother's trying to get you, he's trying to kill you. And he kind of, he tells the Maester, my brother's going to take forever to heal. Make sure he gets everything he needs. Basically trying to be like, don't rush this shit. All right. Laris is a worm. Daemon has hallucinations of Viserion, back when his wife died and all the guilt that he did for not being there. All right. That's Sea Smoke chasing his, how to train your dragon or how to train your rider. Let's see. Yeah, and that's pretty much what pretty much happened. And like I said, the last scene is Rhaenyra and Mysaria hugging because we don't have anybody else we can trust. I can't trust anybody but you. And Rhaenyra's like, I can't trust anybody but you. And then they, like I said, you kind of felt it. And I'm like, okay, this is this has been a pretty sexless season, surprisingly so in comparison to other seasons of Game of Thrones. I mean, you had pretty much guaranteed debauchery, but this season has been more cerebral, more chess playing than anything else. You almost don't miss it. And this has been not the most violent of any of the seasons, but including the original season. There's not as much violence. Yeah, when it comes, but it's not as consistently violent, in my opinion. Maybe you guys might beg to differ, but it's more cerebral. This has probably been the most cerebral season of any Game of Thrones season I've seen. Just my opinion. What do you guys think? All right, we're almost done. But this is pretty much what happened during the episode. Yeah, and it sucks too, because you can barely move. And remember with the Battle of King's Road, where Dany burns them all. Remember, she burns them. They're in ashes. They're in ashes. The armor, basically, when you tip the armor over, it's just ash inside because she's burnt the shit out of them. I love that episode, by the way. Yeah, no boobage, no nothing. I mean, like I said, it shows that Game of Thrones doesn't necessarily need it. It's a part of that world, though. Sex, debauchery, treatment of women, it's a part of that world. And so you will eventually see it. Alice Rivers, Damon's going to get some of that. I mean, just come on, And apparently we got Rhaenyra and Mysaria, got 2 episodes left of that. So that's not in the books, by the way. They just kind of added that. So, all right. So please leave a like, subscribe. Wait, it was 67 people watching this across all of our platforms. If you are on Twitter right now, please swing over to youtube.com/at the Sci-Fi Center and subscribe. Help us get to 1,000 before Comic-Con or during Comic-Con. It's getting close to Comic-Con right now. So let's see. I want to share my link. But it looks like they're setting up for like I said, we got 2 episodes left, and I hope we just don't have to wait. I don't want to wait. We waited 2 years to get to where we are at now. I know they're going to be filming later on this year or the beginning of next year, which means by springtime we could get season 3. I don't think this is going to last too far beyond season 3, simply because they're in battles right now that have already moved this story past the halfway point of the Dance of Dragons. All right, we're starting to head to Harrenhal. And when people start converging on Harrenhal, the war is getting close to the end. Yeah, a year I can take, but 2 years, September of 2022 or October 2022 is when the last time we saw it. So I'm hoping we get it, because like I said, it's really hard to keep that momentum going. All right. that has been my recap, my spoiler recap of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 6, titled Small Folk. If you got anything you want to add to this, please add it in the comment section. I do my best to respond to all of our comments. I'm gonna go watch some of the there's a couple of guys out there, like I always tell you, that do some really, really good recaps, and they notice things, and I'm like, how did you guys see that? So I'm going to be watching them, and then we'll be talking Thrones all the way through the week. If there's any Thrones at Comic-Con, my show will be a little bit late because I will just be coming back from San Diego for the second to last episode, which will be on August 28th. So the show might be a little bit later because I will be catching it a little bit later because I'll be coming back from San Diego Comic-Con. However, if there's any news about the House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones at all at Comic-Con, keep an eye out on our show because I'm definitely going to report about it because Game of Thrones is just like wrestling for me. It's not everybody that I know is into it, but the people that I know that are into it understand that it's one of my things, man. So, all right. Watch party for Pulp Fiction. I'll think about it. Rings of Power. That's Monday. Okay, cool. All right, guys, that has been your recap show. I will see you in a couple of hours for our Sunday night live stream. Thank you for being here. Please hit like, subscribe, hit the bell to be alerted for everything we do, and share the gospel. Help us get to 1,000 this week. See you later. Bye.